Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest freestanding mountain in the world and the fourth highest of the 7 summits. Rising from plains of northeastern Tanzania, this is a place of rare beauty and myth, and I will take you on a fascinating and challenging journey all the way to the summit at over 19,000 feet, the roof of Africa. The legendary snows of Kilimanjaro, imposing in the middle of the Tanzanian plains. So much has been written and said about these mysterious, snowy peaks located only 3 degrees below the equator. Defying reason and captivating people worldwide, Kilimanjaro has become an African icon, a source of inspiration and a dream of over 25,000 visitors who come to Tanzania annually to attempt to reach its summit. Kilimanjaro is not one single mountain. It is instead composed of 3 volcanoes formed millions of years ago. The oldest crater is Shida at 13,000 feet, followed by Machame at 16,893 feet. The youngest Kibo has an altitude of 19,341 feet. The highest point of Africa and of this giant mountain is the Uhuru Peak on Kibo's crater rim. Like thousands of trekkers, I dream of standing on the roof of Africa. There are 6 routes to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. The Machame Route is the longest and the most remote. Although difficult, it is also the most scenic, and that's the one I chose. I am along the Rocky Gate on the western side of Mount Kilimanjaro. It will take me 6 days across 5 different climate zones to reach the summit of Africa's highest mountain. Let the adventure begin. For this African adventure, I am again traveling solo, but I won't be alone. I have an experienced entourage of 7 Tanzanian men who are determined to help me reach the summit. This is my team of porters. Atanas, a tall 30-year-old Tanzanian born of Rwandan parents. The proper and quiet Abbas, in charge of carrying my precious backpack. The tall and strong Amran, who doesn't speak much English but never hesitates to smile. Despite his apparently fragile frame, Karim surprises with his strength to carry any weight. This 25-year-old enthusiastic and sweet Tanzanian is Joseph. This is Gaspar. He is the cook, but he doesn't seem to understand the difference between a regular meal and too much food. The leader of this team and my guide on this journey is Aaron. Born and raised in a town close to the border of Malawi, this 40-year-old Tanzanian became a porter at age 30 and a guide a few years later. What started as just a job now has become an essential part of his life.
I love Kilimanjaro, that's why I say she's my girlfriend, because every time I come here, it's not someone I can talk to, but if I miss coming here 3 months, I find I'm missing come here again.
With my entourage ready and all supplies packed, it is time to kick off this adventure. Our hiking the Machame Route follows a little used track known as the Flanders route. Our destination is a big tree camp at 8,695 feet. It will take us 3 to 4 hours to get there. We start in the dense, humid and cold rainforest at the bottom of the mountain. Big animals like elephants and buffaloes hide behind thick vegetation. Only the monkeys stayed out in the open. Although heavy rains are common here, the sun is shining and the sky is clear today. The sounds of bird calls surrounds us. The steep, muddy terrain challenges me. The further we hike, the wilder, purer and denser the forest becomes.
My favorite route is the Machame Route. I think the only reason is just because it's the newest one, and it's not as big, used, and it's quiet.
It is indeed a lonely route. We meet very few people on the way.
Pole pole.
Pole pole.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Pole pole.
Yeah. Pole pole is a common phrase in the mountain, and it means slow in Swahili. Aaron constantly reminds me to slow my pace to avoid high altitude sickness.
Climbing Kilimanjaro doesn't have anything to do with your physical fitness. If you come slow, you allow your body to get used to the high elevation. That is the secret.
He also reminds me to drink at least 3 liters of water daily. Any effort is worth reaching the summit.
I feel well. I have been drinking water as a mad woman. I have been going to the bathroom just as much.
We hike and hike, reaching the campsite right after sunset.
Welcome. A1, Mti Mkubwa, Big Tree Camp.
At the camp, my Tanzanian entourage has a tent ready for me. I check out my new home in the middle of the jungle. This is my first night in the arms of Kilimanjaro.
We're leaving the Big Tree Camp to go to the Shira Camp #1. And it's gonna, how long is it gonna take, Aaron?
Yeah.
How long is it gonna take?
5 or 6 hours.
5?
Pole.
5? Well, he would say it better.
Yeah.
How long it would take us?
It will take us 5 or 6 hours. We'll be hiking pole pole.
Oh, okay.
At 8 a.m., we start an uphill trek to Shira Camp #1 at 11,420 feet above the sea level. The pristine rainforest we cross provides over 95% of the water on Kilimanjaro. This ecosystem overflows with life. Towering trees, as well as exotic flowers, such as lobelias and the unique Kilimanjaro impatiens, decorate the scenery. Suddenly the landscape changes. The canopy trees disappear to unveil blue skies and a vast zone of moorland. Aaron shows me the path we will follow and points at some white dots moving in the distance. They are porters carrying heavy supplies up to the mountain. Soon, fog shrouds the landscape. Today's trek involves an altitude gain of 2,000 feet. Although I have drunk about 5 liters already, Aaron insists I must drink more water.
He says that water is the wine of Kilimanjaro. However, the effect on me is not exactly what I have when I have some wine, but still I have to drink it, right?
Aaron and I continue our trek and come face to face with the barren and extraordinary Shira Plateau, a rarely visited high-altitude desert. Although the Shira now looks flat with some peaks, it was once a crater rim decimated by weather and the volcanic action of the younger Kibo. We cross the Shira caldera and finally reach Shira Camp #1 in the early afternoon.
Wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.
In the early morning, Kilimanjaro shows its full beauty. Tanzanian porters dance, celebrate and serenade the mountain at sunrise. As the sun rays fall over its shining ice cap, Kibo looks imposing, mesmerizing, intriguing, accessible and challenging. My Tanzanian entourage and I start off for the Shira Huts camp at 12,630 feet above the sea level. We cross the Shira Plateau, where volcanic rocks and strange plants that only grow in high altitudes decorate the barren landscape.
You can see from here up to around 4,000. And then its name is lobelia. So during the night when it's young, it closes so that the glowing bud inside can stay warm, not die from frost.
We walk across the vast Shira Plateau, but Aaron takes me on a different trail from other trekkers. He wants to show me the Shira Cathedral, a high rocky peak on the Shira Range. On the way, we run into more strange vegetation, typical of this climate zone. Just a few meters away, our surroundings change again. Now we're walking through a dead zone of nothing but fog and dry plants. The fog becomes heavier as the trek becomes tougher. We climb close to the edge and over loose rocks. At the top, the fog obscures the panoramic view Aaron dreamt of showing me. As it starts to rain, we rush into our descent to avoid stepping on wet and loose rocks. After 2 hours under the rain, we finally see the sign. We have made it to the cheetah huts. Exhausted, I collapse in my tent to drink more hot water. And in the distance, I hear classical music. Getting up to follow the music, I arrive at a tall green tent where Martin, a Norwegian trekker, plays the cello.
I found an artist in the mountain, and he has just made me cry because it's just beautiful to be in this environment and just to listen to this.
Porters come to check out what's going on, intrigued by the exotic instrument. Martin's music makes me feel closer to home as I spend my third day in the middle of a remote mountain. As the sun sets, its rays make Kibo's glaciers glitter. Other peaks compete with this magnificent sunset for attention. Opposite Kibo is the imposing Meru Peak, and between Meru and Kibo are the peaks of Shira, including the cathedral that Aaron and I climbed earlier. At that moment, I realized how far I have come in the past 3 days. With each day, I'm closer to Kibo and to making a dream come true. In rally to attempt to reach a summit. Kilimanjaro is not one single mountain. It is instead composed of 3 volcanoes formed millions of years ago. The oldest crater is Shira at 13,000 feet, followed by Mawenzee at 16,000. Much has been written and said about these mysterious, snowy peaks located only 3 degrees below the equator. Defying reason and captivating people worldwide, Kilimanjaro has become an African icon, a source of inspiration and a dream of over 25,000 visitors who come to Tanzania.
Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest freestanding mountain in the world and the 4th highest of the 7 summits. Rising from plains of northeastern Tanzania, this is a place of rare beauty and myth, and I will take you on a fascinating and challenging journey all the way to the summit at over 19,000 feet, the roof of Africa.
The legendary snows of Kilimanjaro, imposing in the middle of the Tanzanian plains. Some 193 feet, the youngest Kibo has an altitude of 19,341 feet. The highest point of Africa and of this giant mountain is the Uhuru Peak on Kibo's greater rim. Like thousands of trekkers, I dream of standing on the roof of Africa.